Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen. Star Citizen Alpha 3.8.1 is now on the Open PTU, and we've just had a D and E PTU patches as well, so I want to go over some of those patch notes, what's the additions have been made there. All backers with the game package now have access to that latest 3.8.1 PTU patch, and let's have a look at a bit of a state of the game, bit of state of the PTU, and what's left to be done before they go to live. And if you want to get involved with that PTU test, I will link the FAQ down below. So the 3.8.1 D patch added a cooldown on player bounties of the same player. The door sound effects should now be correct for Area 18's transit system. The non-medical beds in the 890 should now have functional logouts. They fixed Platinum Bay being disconnected from the rest of Shubin Outpost on Lyria. The overclocked power plants should no longer cause an unrecoverable ship shutdown. Red text should no longer randomly appear when updating character selections on the character customizer. They fixed an issue where recovery would trigger despite the player pressing decline, and they fixed a server deadlock, 5 server crashes, and 6 client crashes. This quickly got replaced with a 3.8.1 E patch, again with a similarly, I can't even say the word similar anymore. Oh dear. Small sort of list of patch notes. They toned down some lens effects, which is actually pretty good now because I can see things and I'm not blinded. They updated the nose collision on the Caterpillar to allow damage on the main and front doors. The Pisces should no longer appear as a placeholder text on commodity kiosks. Entering a ship via elevator at Area 18 should no longer kill the player. Fixed bounty missions so that they now progress and you can now unlock the variants of those missions as well. There should no longer be misaligned collision blocking a suite in the 890 jump. Players should no longer get first degree battery charges for killing NPCs inside destroyed ships. Players should no longer randomly die in the Easy Hab area upon exiting the transit system at Area 18. They fixed an issue where if multiple players set their preferred ICU to the same medbed and die at the same time, one would spawn at map origin, and they fixed 2 server crashes and a further server deadlock. So that's the patches, and they are working through a load of issues still for the PTU. There was a mistake with the Cutlass Red that's not intended to have 2 shields, apparently. It will have a single medium or size 2 shield. That has caused a reasonable amount of anger from people that, well, at least some people that originally bought it with those 2 hard points for shields in mind. However, the role of the Cutlass Red remains unchanged. The addition of that new medbed gameplay for the Cutlass Red and the 890 jump is a welcome addition to the verse, at least in my opinion, in the short term. Obviously, there's going to be lots of problems with people like Zerking and using it to exploit stuff potentially, and we'll have to sort of solve those issues as we go along, I suppose. Beyond that, it appears that server-side object container streaming, or SOCS, is still being dialed in. This is a major core piece of tech, and there are still bugs to fix with it. There are still optimization issues. We know that CIG is planning to further optimize servers and network code from patch to patch anyway as well, but SOCS is pretty core to any of those optimizations as well. And I'm assuming that player desync is actually being worked on as part of that as well, because that's one of my major issues with the 3.8 branch, players desyncing from each other. Obviously, it's supposed to be an MMO, it's supposed to be a multiplayer game, and we need to be able to interact with players in a way that doesn't mean that maybe they're, a good 50 meters from when they are actually appear to be, or when they're sort of like crewing your lasers for your mole or gun turret. I don't want them to be appearing to shoot in a weird direction or whatever. SOCS is such a massive element of core gameplay and the engine of the game, and it touches pretty much every other part of the game. CIG have said it's not performing in the way that they want it to at this stage and needs more work and more optimization. They also said that they have fixed their most severe server crash as well now, but new things might pop up, so I am hoping for a lot more of the 3.8.1 problems to be solved before it goes live. There is slower texture loading at the moment as well, and this could be a debugging thing from CIG, and we'll come on to this in a bit more detail in a second, but they are potentially testing some stuff out and trying to gather some data. So the current 3.8.1 build has some additional problems and potential logging stuff that it's doing. They are still tracking down 30k errors, so these are one of the most important things to have fixed for live builds. So these are like client and server disconnects, disturbances to your gameplay, which sort of like prevent you from accessing stuff, or stop you in your tracks, kick you out of the game, whatever, and mean that you can't get back in, or even when you can get back in, you don't want to be disturbed, you don't want to be disconnected. Those are what I would refer to as major blockers for a live build, and sort of like high priority tasks for CIG. We know that CIG have tested player server caps beyond 50 as well, and that seemed to go well, so I'm hoping that maybe they test those out again, potentially in a 3.8.1 live build, if we're lucky. Otherwise, maybe between now and 3.9, we'll have to wait and see. Neutron repeaters and sledge drivers still seem to be pretty OP, overpowered, and bugged. Apparently as well, CIG were testing a quick way of doing character resets without having to recopy your accounts to the PTU. So that might be a thing that we see in the near future, at least for the PTUs more often. Another thing that CIG seem to be trying to do is get rid of any alpha UEC money gaining sort of exploits, so you can't make infinite or millions of alpha UEC without expending at least some effort. These exploits are being cleared up because they are either close to or ready to implement platform persistence, giving CIG the ability to easily choose when to reset progress, meaning that if there are no terrible exploits after a 3.8.1 launch, no terrible exploits, no terrible bugs, something that CIG don't need to test, then progress will be copied over from patch to patch to patch to patch. Now, there's still going to be some times that they need to do resets for progression. Bear that in mind. And it could be really common, and it might be significantly less common, it might be incredibly rare from now on. We'll have to wait and see. But remember that there is going to be a 3.8.1 wipe for when the actual PTU goes live. So bear that in mind. Large groups of players have been able to apparently log out in the 890 jumps beds and log back on, apparently, I believe, when the owner was still on the server of the ship, but all be able to log into multiple beds simultaneously on the same ship with good ease, and have people sort of like spawning in the medi bed. But I need to test that myself at some point, because that's only what I've heard rather than actually done myself or actually seen. CIG are working on some auto gimbal changes and improvements, but they aren't going to be for 3.8.1, they're going to be for 3.9 now. So where are we with current known issues and bugs for the PTU? Well, there's still a shipload of currently listed issues as of 3.8.1e that CIG have noted. This does not guarantee that they're going to be prioritizing these fixes for 3.8.1 live. However, the sort of bugs do range from minor to game-breaking in severity, and I would expect CIG to focus on those game-breaking bugs before 3.8.1 live, and to try and fix as many of the other ones as possible. So what are they? The initial shader load is significantly slowed in this build, resulting in large sections of purple textures and invisible items and NPCs while they pop in and load in. This may be encountered frequently with larger cities and ships. Workaround for this is to allow the area to load and then don't delete your shader folder. Once a region of the persistent universe is loaded, it should load smoother next time. And as I said earlier, I think that's to do with server-side object container streaming, further optimization and logging of some stuff. Active scanning of ships may cause a client crash. Obviously, that is pretty annoying. Cargo capacity will fluctuate when extracting mineable materials. AI ships do not recover from EMP disables. Sometimes repair services are unavailable when they should be present. After a ship is repaired, detached components will remain attached to the ship when destroyed, and a duplicate component will fall off. Repair fails if you select repair and refuel simultaneously. Once an Animus spare magazine has been emptied, the player cannot equip fresh magazines in the same slot. Ships are displayed as unknown after destruction on the ASOP terminals, but also be available for spawn, but not appear in their specified hangar when you spawn them. Entering or exiting via EVA can sometimes cause the player to spin and harm themselves. Objects can fall through the floor when dropped. That is so annoying. I can't tell you the amount of times that dropping an object, whether it be crates or whatever, or mission items or anything, have prevented me from doing things that I want to do in the verse. So I am hoping that they get that solved ASAP. And there's others that obviously affect you in different ways. Personally, I'm sure some people are going to be like, this is the bug that needs to be fixed. No, it's this one. But for me, that's one of the big ones. An extra static train can appear at Lorville and prevent the use of trains. The ghost train. The visuals of the ships on the rental screen may have missing areas or disappear completely. Chronic Astro services may not work at certain stations and ports. And the workaround for that is to hover above the landing pad and request the services from just above the pad. Rentals or rental timers may not work when renting a second ship. Again, you want to be able to rent ships in the game consistently and in a way that isn't broken, so they do need to fix that. Obviously, as well, recently they changed it so you couldn't make changes to rented ships. So we'll have to wait and see whether or not that is a decision that CIG want to stick to, or if they're going to have some sort of other customization system for rented ships and vehicles. If a player's ship is destroyed after bed logout, they may return to server at origin, and you'd have to respawn yourself effectively. NPCs may sometimes be doing usable animations in places they shouldn't. Countermeasures might not be working as intended to deter missiles. The 890 jump does not have the correct cargo capacity. The combine cannon and distortion weapons are not working as intended. Some elevators might not show up when called. If the quantum travel marker is at the edge of a planet or moon, you can sometimes pass through the planetary body and explode. Purchased commodities will often not visually appear in a ship's hold, even though they are there. NPC beacon notifications will sometimes display an incorrect distance, and AI ships can often get stuck in the middle of their motion and not advance further. However, I haven't actually seen that. Apparently that used to be quite common, but I haven't seen that, at least not in the last 2 PTU patches. There's still obviously issues that need to be solved before 3.8.1 goes live. Hopefully the influx of new players for Open PTU will help, and they are making progress. But what do you think? Do you think there are still major bugs that might get pushed to 3.9's release rather than be fixed in 3.8.1 or any other hotfixes? Are you looking forward to the Cutlass Red in the live build? Are you upset at its loss of a shield hardpoint? Are you playing 3.8.1 on the PTU at the moment, and what are your thoughts on that? Whatever your thoughts, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Every month we have a ship giveaway for January 2020. It's for an Anvil Arrow and Star Citizen game package. Just comment on any of my videos made this month to be in for a chance. More details in the description below. Oh, it's time to shill. If you're looking for a VPN, then consider NordVPN. They have many advantages over free VPNs, but are incredibly cheap, and I use them and can recommend. There's Shadow as well, which is an alternative to owning your own gaming PC. They give you a sort of Windows 10 environment focused on gaming, and it leverages the power of your internet and their cloud so that you can stream it to any device or other PC or laptop or phone or whatever. And you can now order systems with varying scales of hardware for up to 4K gaming. And as always, it works fantastically well with Star Citizen. It's an extremely affordable way to get access to a high-spec PC. Links below to Shadow and Nord, and make sure you use the code BoredGamer to get a discount. Thank you very much for watching, and if you want to support my channel further, consider becoming a Patreon or YouTube member via the join button, or sharing my videos, or liking and subscribing. Take care, and I'll see you in the verse.